The enemy drone approached its target at the same time a U.S. drone was also returning to base. The return of the U.S. drone led to some confusion over whether the incoming drone was a friend or foe, end quote. Retired U.S. Air Force Special Operations Commander Major Glenn Ignazio joins me. Good evening, sir. And before I get to the question of this drone, I'm asking, why are we still in the Middle East? All those outposts, and they said that Tower 22, where this happened yesterday, where the 3 were killed and somebody were wounded, that it was a secret. But I find it hard to believe that's really a secret since it's guarded by the Jordanians and everyone must know it's there.
Yes, you're absolutely right. We've been present in the entire area for a variety of different reasons, but also to keep ISIS from building up. So there are operations that have continued to strike and or prevent or advise others to stop ISIS from that growth. In fact, Jordan just did a strike on January 4th of this year into Syria to actually stop smugglers of drugs and weapons throughout that area. So we've been very prominent in that area for a long time. It's something that's existed for many years.
All right, now explain this drone. It was we let our defenses down, or not down, but I assume that we softened the defenses so that our drone could return to base. Is that right? And they basically sneaked their drone in behind?
Well, there's a lot of systems that are in play. You know, the investigation will go on, but a lot of times we have identification of what's called identification of friend and foe. So our radar systems will be able to identify what is friendly, what is not. But at the same time, it's command and control confusion. Human factors are in the loop. So there's a variety of different methods that could break down to this. And that'll definitely be found out. But that is, you know, a technique that would be one of the things to mirror yourself looking like another and be able to get in that way. That is a possibility. But again, the investigation and details will come in. It's unfortunate to see this type of impact on our soldiers.
It seems, I mean, look, this is growing. It's not getting less. I mean, and Americans, of course, a lot of Americans fed up with providing more money, more arms to Ukraine. Now we've got, you know, this problem escalating. What do you see as happening? What's your prediction?
Well, I think one of the biggest things, if you take a look at it from Ukraine to present day, even the evacuation of Afghanistan, is there doesn't seem to be any solid engagement and especially disengagement. You don't see that in Ukraine, and you don't see that going on in the Middle East right now, especially in this Iraq area. So we've had those 150 plus attacks you talk about, but those have been, we've responded to those attacks. But what about the preemptive strikes to be able to protect our soldiers ahead of time, not just reactionary in nature? And that was one of the things, like even the Houthis, when they attacked, it took us some time to actually strike some of the areas that were about to launch rockets. That's the way we're going to be able to protect individuals, and we're going to have to send some message to these folks rather intensely. But I don't believe striking around is the smart thing. That is literally, I believe, we're being baited into trying to do something like that.
Well, let me tell you a frightful headline I just read out of the New York Times. And, you know, everyone's always said that Putin's not going to go farther than Ukraine. And I've been to Ukraine. I've covered the war. And now the New York Times reported, for Europe and NATO, a Russian invasion, meaning beyond Ukraine, is no longer unthinkable. So that seems to be growing as well. If you know, before everyone said, no, Putin's only going to go as far as eastern Ukraine, and that's it, Crimea and a few of the areas there. But now they fear that it's growing.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Been to Ukraine as well, you know, and supporting the actions there. But let's take a look at the facts about this. First of all, is other than Ukraine, you do have that entire NATO line. And again, what strike against one member of NATO is attacked against all. So you have a huge response for the entire European area. But let's take a look again. Ukraine. Ukraine's tired. The Russians are tired. A significant amount of Russians have been taken out. We're talking about soldiers, troops, tanks, aircraft, and everything. They're very war weary. So the idea, again, of the presence and the strength that Putin does try to project, I don't believe that the capability is there. And even in Ukraine, I believe that they've shown that they're a paper tiger in their military affairs. So it may be a threat, it may be a posturing. I don't believe that they have the capability to go further, as they're really in a stalemate in Ukraine right now.
I sure hope you are right, sir. Major Glenn Ignazio, thank you, sir, for joining me. I hope you come back.
Thank you. Nice to be with you.